I tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure.
There are official stories, and then there's the truth they never wanted you to see. A new 2025 video finally exposes a military engagement with a UFO that officials have desperately tried to keep under wraps. It shows a drone firing a Hellfire missile at a strange metallic orb. But this isn't another blurry video. The data from this event is crystal clear, and it's the reason members of Congress were left speechless in a secret briefing. Because when that missile hit, the orb demonstrated a capability that rewrites our entire understanding of defense and technology. Rules of engagement broken. In the vast empty expanse of the sky over the Pacific Ocean, a silent hunter was on the prowl. This was no ordinary aircraft. It was an MQ-9 Reaper drone, one of the most sophisticated surveillance and attack platforms in the United States arsenal. It can fly for over 27 hours straight, soaring at altitudes of up to 50,000 feet, its powerful sensors scanning everything below. On this day in early 2025, its mission was not to track insurgents or monitor ground targets. It was tracking something that, according to official records, shouldn't exist. For hours, the drone's operators had watched a small metallic orb perform maneuvers that defied belief. The object, estimated to be about 15 feet in diameter, moved with an intelligence and speed that was simply breathtaking. It would hover silently for minutes, then accelerate to hypersonic speeds in an instant with no visible means of propulsion. There were no wings, no heat plumes from engines, nothing that our current understanding of aerospace engineering could explain. You see, this is what military pilots have been reporting for years, describing the 5 observables of UAP behavior: instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic speeds without signatures, anti-gravity lift, low observability, and transmedium travel. This orb was ticking every single box. It dropped from 80,000 feet to just above the waves in a matter of seconds, a descent that would have crushed any man-made aircraft, not to mention a human pilot. The decision-making process that led to the next step remains highly classified, but the thing nobody tells you is that a line was crossed. After the orb failed to respond to any form of communication and its flight path brought it near a sensitive naval carrier group, the rules of engagement shifted. The order was given from a command center thousands of miles away. Engage the target. The Reaper drone locked on. Under its wing, an AGM-114 Hellfire missile whirred to life. This is a weapon that can obliterate a tank from 5 miles away. Its 100-pound body carries a 20-pound warhead designed for maximum destruction. With a flash, the missile dropped from the drone's pylon, its rocket motor ignited, and it accelerated towards the silent, hovering orb at nearly the speed of sound. The operators watched on their screens, seeing the world in the ghostly green and white of infrared. The radar data was perfect. The lock was solid. In the final seconds, the video feed showed the missile closing the distance with terrifying precision. Then impact. For a split second, there was a flash on the screen as the missile met its target. This was the moment everyone expected to see: a fireball, a shower of shrapnel, and the radar screen filled with the debris of a destroyed craft. But that's not what happened. What happened next is what sent a quiet panic through the highest levels of the Department of Defense. The data that came back in the moments after the strike was so bizarre, so utterly impossible, that the initial report was flagged as a sensor malfunction. It had to be a mistake, but it wasn't. The flash of impact was not from an explosion. All the energy from the Hellfire missile, the kinetic force, the chemical explosive, it all just vanished. The orb didn't explode. It didn't fall from the sky. It didn't even seem to move. For a period of about 3 seconds, it glowed intensely, its surface shimmering as if it had absorbed the entire blast. The radar showed no debris. The thermal cameras detected no heat bloom from a chemical reaction. It was as if someone had thrown a firecracker at a brick wall and the wall simply ate it. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the orb accelerated from a dead stop to an estimated 12,000 miles per hour and vanished from the radar screens. It was gone. The military had fired its shot, and the unknown target had just fired back, not with a weapon, but with a display of physics that was a weapon in itself. The silence in the control room was deafening. What were they supposed to write in the report? How do you explain a target that absorbs a missile? This single event, captured in a few seconds of harrowing data, was about to become the most sensitive secret in the world. But the orb's strange reaction was only the beginning of the mystery. Analyzing a ghost. In the aftermath of the Hellfire incident, a wave of confusion and urgency washed over the intelligence community. The initial report was buried almost immediately, classified at a level far above top secret and accessible to only a handful of individuals. You see, this wasn't just another strange radar track. This was hard, physical proof of something extraordinary. The Reaper drone hadn't just observed, it had interacted. It had touched the void, and the void had not even flinched. The first order of business was to analyze every single byte of data, and what the analysts found only deepened the mystery. The energy readings were the first major red flag. When a Hellfire missile detonates, it releases a massive instantaneous burst of thermal and kinetic energy. But the drone's sensors recorded that energy signature shrinking, not expanding. It was as if the orb had acted like a sponge, drawing the blast inward. Many people are crazy about the idea of force fields, but the data here was suggesting something even more advanced, a technology capable of converting energy on a massive scale. To put it in perspective, the energy of that missile could power a small house for a day. This object absorbed it in less than a second without any discernible effect. It was a complete violation of the law of conservation of energy as we know it. Then there was the material science problem. There is no known material on Earth that could withstand a direct impact from a Hellfire missile without sustaining catastrophic damage. Even the thickest tank armor would be pierced and mangled. Yet this 15-foot orb showed no signs of damage at all. The high-resolution video, analyzed frame by frame, showed its smooth, seamless surface rippling for a microsecond at the point of impact before returning to normal. This suggested a form of programmable or regenerative matter, something straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. The question bouncing around the Pentagon wasn't what is it made of, but how is it even holding itself together? The whispers began to circulate through secure channels. Was this a foreign adversary's breakthrough? That theory was quickly taken off the table. While countries like China and Russia have made significant advances in hypersonic technology, they are still bound by the same laws of physics as the United States. Their prototypes still have wings, require massive propulsion systems, and generate incredible heat signatures. They certainly don't have materials that can absorb missile strikes. The thing nobody tells you is that intelligence agencies have a very good idea of what their rivals are capable of. This wasn't one of theirs. It wasn't one of ours. It was something else. This realization triggered a quiet, frantic search through decades of classified archives. Had they seen this before? The answer was a chilling yes. The file names were different, Tic Tac, Gimbal, Go Fast, but the performance characteristics were eerily similar. This wasn't a new phenomenon. The only thing that was new was that this time they had shot at it. The pressure mounted to brief the highest levels of government. This was no longer an issue for just the Department of Defense. This had become a matter of national and perhaps global security. How do you defend against something that your weapons can't destroy? How do you create a strategy for an unknown entity with unknown motives and capabilities that are, by any measure, 1,000 years ahead of your own? The decision was made to take this information to a very select, very powerful group of people who were used to dealing with secrets. They were about to be shown a video that would change their perception of reality forever. The stage was set for a confrontation, not with the orb, but with the truth. Congress meets the impossible. Behind the reinforced doors of a sensitive compartmented information facility, or SESIF, deep within the Capitol building, a small group of congressional leaders and heads of the intelligence committees gathered. These were people accustomed to hearing the nation's darkest secrets, but not all things are what they seem, and no amount of experience could have prepared them for what they were about to witness. The mood was tense. No phones, no aides, just the most powerful lawmakers in the country and a handful of somber-faced officials from the Pentagon. The director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, stood before them. The briefing began not with speculation, but with raw, undeniable data. First, they showed the high-definition video from the Reaper drone. The room was silent as they watched the orb's impossible maneuvers, its silent dance in the sky. Then came the main event, the missile launch. The lawmakers saw the streak of light, the perfect intercept, and the bizarre silent flash of absorption. The video was played 3 times. The second piece of evidence was the radar data displayed as a 3-dimensional model. They saw the blip of the missile merge with the blip of the target. They saw no explosion, no debris field. Instead, they watched in disbelief as the target's blip glowed on the screen before accelerating off the chart at a velocity that was mathematically absurd. One congressman, a noted skeptic on the UAP issue, reportedly leaned forward and asked if this was some kind of advanced electronic warfare, a projection or a ghost image designed to fool their systems. The Aero director calmly explained that multiple independent sensor platforms, including naval ships in the area and a nearby satellite, had all corroborated the Reaper's data. This was not a glitch. This was a physical object. The room grew colder. The implications began to sink in. For decades, the official government position had been one of plausible deniability, attributing sightings to weather balloons or swamp gas. But you can't deny a Hellfire missile strike. This footage was the smoking gun. The questions came fast and furious. Where did it come from? What did it want? Was it hostile? The officials had few answers. They couldn't speak to intent, only to capability. And that capability was terrifying. They explained that if this object had been hostile, it could have eliminated the Reaper drone or even the entire naval carrier group with impunity. The fact that it didn't, that it simply absorbed the attack and left, was perhaps the most unsettling part of the entire encounter. It was a display of technological superiority so vast it was almost contemptuous. It was the equivalent of a modern aircraft carrier being shot with a musket ball. The thing nobody tells you is that this briefing fundamentally shifted the conversation in Washington. It was no longer a fringe topic for conspiracy theorists. It was now a national security crisis. The debate moved from, "Are they real?" to "What do we do now?" Some argued for immediate, full-scale public disclosure, believing the world had a right to know. Others argued for even deeper secrecy, terrified of the mass panic and geopolitical instability that such a revelation could cause. How would the world react to the knowledge that an unknown intelligence was operating in our skies, immune to our most powerful weapons? It was a problem with no easy solution, a secret so monumental it threatened to crack the very foundations of government. The lawmakers left that room changed people, their faces pale. They now shared a burden of knowledge that separated them from the rest of the world. They knew the truth. But what happens when a secret that big refuses to stay kept? The secret of the Hellfire incident was too explosive to contain. Inevitably, whispers turned into leaks, and details of the shocking congressional briefing began to trickle out through anonymous sources. The 2025 video, once the most guarded secret in the nation, found its way onto the internet, and the world changed overnight. For the average person, the confirmation that we are not alone is a world-shattering event. It forces a reevaluation of everything we thought we knew about science, religion, and our place in the cosmos. But the thing is, what does this new reality actually mean for our day-to-day lives? Are we really missing a key detail in all of this? Is this new knowledge a threat to our existence or the key to our future? Let us know. Like and subscribe for more truths.